Alrighty, so as the season has progressed, I've been picking up some momentum and feeling good about my weekly picks. Last week was another at least solid week, I guess you would say. 11 and 5 picking straight up winners, 11 and 5 against the spread. So a decent week's worth. Meaning, if I was the type of guy that was giving you advice and telling you to make picks, you would be making money off of my picks. And I don't know if any of you have made bets based off of my picks over the past couple of weeks, but I kind of hope you did, especially against the spread, because I've had a couple of solid weeks, and you could have made some money. Just throwing it out there. Again, the Schleg Daddy, most underrated sports talker here on YouTube. Just saying. For the season, even with the slump I had for a few weeks at the beginning of the year, picking winners 120 and 73 for the season versus the spread 112 and 79. Obviously not the best in town, but again, you can make some money with the dance with me. I'm just saying. So let's go ahead and look at my picks for week 14. We already had the Thursday night game, and initially my instinct was I thought maybe the Saints, but as I got closer to the game, I thought, nah, the Falcons have really more to play for at this point. This is really do or die for them, because if they lose that game and they go to 7-6, you can make the argument they're probably out of the playoff race. They're at home. They usually play better at home. Matt Ryan most certainly did not, but the Falcons found a way to win. So I've started off the week 1-0. Again, that's not necessarily a great omen for anything, but it's at least a positive start to the week. So feeling good and full of myself, and believe me, I am full of myself. So let's transition to the Sunday games and start off with the early Sunday game. You've got the Colts traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. This is a pick'em game. Think about what that means for the Buffalo Bills, is that it's a pick'em game when they have a home game against Chuck Pagano and the Indianapolis Colts. I will pick Buffalo here, but I'm so glad I will be able to pick to not watch that game on Sunday. My God. Speaking of a game that I will not be watching on Sunday, the Bears travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The Bengals are 6.5-point favorites. I have absolutely no reason to believe, even though that spread seems a little big, as the Bengals aren't that good of a team. But the fact is, the Bears are even worse. So give me the Bengals minus the 6.5. And fuck John Fox. Fire Fox. That's what should be trending. And he should have already been fired. What in the hell is General Manager Ryan Pace waiting for? You've seen enough. You know you're not going to keep him in 2018. There is no reason to continue to keep him in 2017. And as long as you continue to do so, I will not be watching any more of this team's games, because I've absolutely had it. You've got the Packers traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. And Brent Hundley 2 weeks ago against Pittsburgh was pretty good. Last week against the Buccaneers, he wasn't, but the team found a way to win. Aaron Jones had a pretty big day on the ground. Green Bay's favored by 3 here. This is kind of one of these danger games, because it's not like the Packers are getting great quarterback play from Brett Hundley. So as a result, you start to wonder, oh my, could this be the game for the Browns? But it's still the Browns. The Packers are still a better team. I'll take Green Bay minus the 3. Although, if the Browns were going to ruin their chance at immortality, this might be the week that they would do so. Especially with all the tumult they've had in the front office and everything that's been going on. It might motivate them to go out there and play really hard and win one for the Hubert. Don't. Don't ruin your chance at history. You've got the Raiders at 6-6 traveling to Kansas City to take on the now 6-6 Chiefs. Kansas City's favored by 4. I don't know what to make of this game. It feels like this is a game between two teams that are not going to ultimately win that division. I'll pick the Chiefs to win, but I do think the Raiders cover the 4-point spread. I think it'll be close, but the Chiefs really, really badly need this game. If they don't win this game, they might not win another game the rest of the year, because they probably will have given up at that point in time. The Cowboys travel to New York to take on the Giants. The Cowboys are 3-point favorites. They have something to play for. The Giants do not. They're putting Eli Manning back in. Is it really going to make a difference? Give me the Cowboys minus the 3. The Lions traveling to Tampa to take on the Bucks. This is a pick'em game. I'm not sure what the status is for Matthew Stafford. I didn't really bother looking, because I really, frankly, didn't care that much. If Stafford plays, Tampa's a bad team, so Detroit can win. But I will take Tampa here. It's a pick'em, so there's no spread. which means Vegas isn't sure. They have no confidence in this either. And again, it'll be another game that I'm glad that I will not be watching. I'm pretty sure the game that I will be watching in this early slate of games is the Vikings traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. It's a huge game for the Panthers, a big game for the Vikings, but not devastating if they lose. Minnesota has a formula that travels well on the road, as you saw last week against the Falcons when they held them to 9 points. Now they come into Carolina to face another team that can put some points on the board and a very good defensive unit. I like Carolina in this game because I feel like there's a little more urgency there for them. They're at home, and they will have a little bit more to play for here. So give me Carolina plus the 2 in a bit of an upset. The 49ers, hot off the heels of Robbie Gould's revenge game in Soldier Field this past Sunday, where they beat the Bears 15-14, travel to Houston to take on the hapless Bill O'Brien, Houston Texans. Houston's favored by 2. I'll pick Houston to win, but thank God again, that's another game that I won't have to watch. And when you look at that early slate of games in general, not a lot to look forward to. I'm just saying. New Orleans, Atlanta ended up being very good on Thursday night. It was one of those rare good Thursday night games. Unfortunately, that means it wasn't on the early slate of games Sunday, meaning you're really limited in options. That Minnesota-Carolina game looks like it could be a monster, but almost everything else, maybe outside of Oakland and Kansas City, could be a complete and total pass for me. The late Sunday afternoon games, you got the Jets traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. I feel like the Broncos have quit on Vance Joseph. I feel like they are a mess, a much bigger mess than Todd Bowles' New York Jets. The Jets are much better coached. It's hard to say. I will take the Broncos plus the 1 because maybe their defense will show up and play a big game for once this season when it matters. Maybe. Hey, I don't know. Broncos plus 1. What the hell? Tennessee travels to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Tennessee's 3-point favorites, and even with their record, you still don't feel like they're a very good team. It feels like this is a prime opportunity where the Cardinals could potentially come out with an upset. I'll take the Cardinals plus the 3. The Redskins travel to LA to take on the Chargers. Chargers are favored by 5.5. The Chargers have a lot to play for right now because they have a lot of momentum, and the way their team's constructed, they're getting hot at the right time. Give me the Chargers minus the 5.5. The marquee late Sunday game has to be the Eagles staying on the West Coast and this time going to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. There's a lot at stake here because the Eagles all of a sudden lose 2 in a row and they go to 10-3. Then that puts their position to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs or potentially even a first-round bye at significant risk. The Eagles really need to bounce back and win this game. For the Rams, it's not the be-all, end-all, but with a few weeks left to go still in the season, there's no guarantee that this Rams team still makes the playoffs. There's no guarantee they win this division. They need to find a way to win this game, and I feel like they ultimately will. Give me the Rams minus the 2. The Seahawks travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. I will show faith in Russell Wilson on this road game because ultimately where the Seahawks are vulnerable, fortunately for them, they'll be facing Blake Bortles, so they won't have somebody that can really exploit them. Give me the Seahawks plus 2.5. The Sunday night matchup, another physical bruising AFC North type of game between the Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We know this has been a pretty intense rivalry over the years. The Steelers are favored by 4.5. It was impressive the way they were able to come back this past Monday night with Shazier going out and the dramatic kind of circumstances surrounding that and all the concern about him. The Steelers were able to go out there and beat a team that they should beat, the type of teams that they typically don't beat, under some adverse situation and circumstances. This is a game here where the Ravens are a little bit of a better team, obviously, but the Steelers have got them at home. I feel confident in the Steelers right now that they could beat the Ravens, but I think the Ravens cover the 4.5. So give me Pittsburgh to win, Baltimore plus the 4.5. And then the Monday night game, you've got the Patriots taking on Jay Cutler. Give me New England minus 10. What more do I need to say at this point?